Hey my love bugs, welcome back to another episode of Selfish Therapy. I'm your host, Lyrae. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. On this channel, we talk about every and everything self-therapy. So if you're not ready to do the work, this may not be the channel for you. But otherwise, guys, remember you show your support to me by subscribing to my channel. Turning on your post notification bell so whenever I post new content, you guys are notified first. Also, if you do like my videos, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, drop a comment below, let me hear what your thoughts are on my topic and what you'd like to hear me talk about. So with that said, let's get into the video. So guys, today is the video that I promised I would give you a part 2 for not the last video but the one prior, where the topic was choosing your partner also means choosing your future, so it matters who you choose, right? And today we're just going to do a follow-up just to talk about some of the important points or the important traits that you want to take into consideration when you're choosing somebody that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. As I mentioned before, choosing a lifelong partner, that means forever, and forever is a very long time, if you know what I mean. So it's super important for us to make sure we know who we're getting in bed with, or, you know, no pun intended, but who we are choosing to have children with. And how our life will be with this person. We can't know for sure, but we can prepare by making some of the best choices for ourselves, right? So let's get into it. Basically, there are certain things that I do believe it's like a no-brainer. Some of the things like respect, love, affection, attention. You know, we want those things regardless of whatever role we're playing in that partnership. I do believe that that's what we need. Now, how those things are shown are how you would want to receive those things is really up to you as the person. And it's the responsibility of both you and your partner to know what that looks like and what that means. So it's your job to teach your partner how to how to give you those things, and your partner's job to learn, right? So I feel like that's a very huge piece of the puzzle that sometimes, and I think nowadays, is skipped, where the courtship, the dating, the part of the relationship that you are supposed to get to know this person, because that's where you're supposed to learn what this person is about, where they're planning to go, what are some of the things that they want out of life or out of a partner, or learn if this is a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. But a lot of the times that's skipped. We go off just what we're feeling, being attracted to that person physically. They may be saying all the right things up front, and we know that people are deceiving a lot of the times, but we just go off that, but there's no real planning and thought put into the long term of that relationship and what it means to be with each other and to spend that time with each other. So like I said, I went over some of those points. If you haven't seen my last video, part 1 of this video, make sure that you go back and watch it and then jump back over here so that you can understand or just follow along with me in this conversation. So point 1 is, how solid is this person? So a lot of the times I hear people say, this is my other half. Now I understand what the intention behind that statement is, but deep down or truly, you don't want a half of a person. You really don't want a half of a person. You want a person that's whole. I don't think it was meant for half. I don't think that two people, half here and half there, are supposed to come together to make one. I do believe that you're supposed to be whole in yourself, and I'm supposed to be whole in myself, then we come together and create that union. But a lot of the times, it's almost take me as I am. which is fine if you choose to, but you have to know what you're taking on, right? But anyway, so being solid just simply means that how stable is this person, whether it's financially, emotionally stable, physically stable, all those things. Is this person prepared enough to walk with you on this journey, if that makes sense, right? A lot of times we don't look at those things, and I always say this, it's not always about finances, but finances are also important. It is important, right? And we skip over that because we're in love. Love is very, 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 very much a huge piece of the puzzle, and I'm not saying it's not, but there are more pieces to build the entire puzzle, and skipping some of those is what creates the holes in your foundation, right? And obviously it's going to fall. So I feel like, how solid is this person? Are you solid enough to meet the requirements of this person so that you guys can walk together on this journey? Where are you standing, if that makes sense? So it's not just about that person having money. It's not just about physically being strong and being able to protect you, and because I hear all these things a lot of the times, but it's not just about that. What type of foundation are you guys starting to build on? Where are you? Do you guys need to be a little bit more solid before you actually start building? So that's what I mean when I said that's something that needs to be considered, right? The next thing is, how well does this person communicate? Or are you a communicator? Are you guys able to communicate effectively, right? We don't always communicate the same, if that makes sense. Especially in our community, there's still work left to be done in the way that we communicate with each other, with others, you know what I mean? Even with ourselves, the way that we do it is not always the most positive way, the most effective way. And I believe that we carry those things over into all the ships, the friendships, the relationships, you know what I mean? And that creates a disconnect, usually a disconnect. So I think it's a huge, 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 huge piece of the puzzle to be able to communicate effectively with your partner. And that's something that you have to learn. How a person prefers to communicate is super important. And because what I've seen, I don't know where I saw this, but there was something that I was watching where whenever there was a disagreement with this couple, the man shuts down. Like, he doesn't want to talk because he feels himself getting angry. He doesn't want to say anything out of the way. And the woman was, talk to me. She wants to talk now, right? I think I had a video on something very similar talking about communication before. Talk to me, I want to talk now. So that created a barrier. He felt like you want drama. She felt like you're shutting down, you're not listening to me. Right there's a disconnect, right? And until we learn how to communicate effectively with each other, we won't hear the other person. And not hearing the other person means we won't understand the other person. If you don't understand, guess what? You cannot fix that problem. So effective communication is very important and is something that has to be placed on the table. And I know people say this, but you don't get to know until they're actually in action, right? Until they're met with disagreement, and then you'll be able to see how each person handles it at that time, right? Like I said, it's time. It's nothing that you're going to know over time. But if you're going to say, this is a person I want to spend the rest of my life with, I think this is something that you should already know, if you can deal with it, and if there's any way of compromising with that. All right, so that's point 2. The third point I want to make which I brought this up in the last video, is your values. Do you guys have the same values? Now, people might have different values based on just even their background, how they were raised, right? We date outside of our races all the time, or out of our culture. And you find that sometimes there's a barrier, right? What may be considered disrespectful to you may not be disrespectful to this person, because that's the norm in their country. So some things you can't assume that just because you believe in God, or just because you believe that this may be wrong, that this person is the person that you're choosing is automatically going to believe the same thing. And that's something that must be discussed, and something that you have to learn before you choose that person as your partner. Is that something that you're okay with? I spoke about even just religion, or what you guys believe in, how you guys going to raise your children. You might be hell-bent on your children going to college. It's like a must. And your partner may say it's not as important, right? So I'm just saying, before you choose to say, I am going on this journey with this person, that's something that's super important for you to understand, because later that will create a huge disconnect with both of you. You guys are going to be going into separate directions, and I feel like that also creates a dysfunction for anybody else that you bring into your relationship as well. All right, so point 4 is, earlier I mentioned about respect, affection, all those things. So you want to make sure those things are communicated, what you are willing to accept, what you're not. That comes in where your boundaries are, and you want to set that same way. You want to know that your partner have their boundaries, and you are also clear on what the ask is from them. So respect is a huge thing, but respect means something different to everybody else, right? And it's a very thin line, and I think talking about it, being clear and what your ask is and your boundaries, what you're willing to accept and not accept, is very important and plays a huge part in choosing your partner as well, whomever you decide to spend the rest of your life with. The next point is, I wanted to mention that you also want to know, are you showing your full self, or are you showing up as you? Until you are able to show up as you in your current stage, and your partner is showing up as themselves in their current stage, because like I said, people change, people evolve. Who you are now, you may not be a year from now, right? Depending on what happens in your life and experience that you go through. But who you are now, you want to make sure you're showing up as yourself. A lot of the times what tends to happen, people meet each other and they try to show their best selves, right? Which is, nothing is wrong with that. But when you're choosing that this is who I want to be with, it's only fair that that person understands who you are 100% now. Who are you? What are you given? You don't want to show up as one person now, and then after making the commitment, then you start to show the other sides of yourselves, right? You want to show up completely. And likewise, I'm sure you don't want to have that for you. You don't want to marry somebody or start having children with a person, and then after, now you're connected to this person for life, is when you're seeing all these new things that you had no idea about, right? And like I said, it's never 100% guaranteed that you know every single thing about a person. I just don't think it's possible, especially in the beginning stages. But I do believe that showing up as you completely, and likewise, trying to get to know the full person of who you're choosing, the good, the bad, the ugly, the trauma, some of the things that happen that you may be holding on to, some things that you need to heal from. I just feel like if you are not able to express that side of you with the person that you decide that this is who I want to be with, then something is wrong with that picture. I think you should be at a place where you're comfortable enough to be your full self. Not only that, that gives the other person, or gives you the opportunity to decide if this is what you want to deal with for the rest of your life, right? I think it gives you the opportunity to make that choice for yourself. So if you're not able to be completely you, no matter what that looks like, with this person, that is not your person, right? That's not your person. And why is that? That means the space is not created for you to do so, right? And yeah, so that's something to look into. You want to make sure that you're showing up as you 100% right now, and then you decide to grow together to the next place. Now, I don't know how long it takes to learn your partner in terms of what are some of the things that they like. So like their love languages. I don't think that's something that happens overnight. I don't think that you will learn all those things in the beginning stages of the relationship. And I do think it's like a continuous improvement type of a thing, only because as each of us evolve and get older, we grow, our appetite for certain things may change. So you might be interested in one thing right now. As you get older and you start having kids, your interest might change and your love language changes. So I do think it's important for you to be connected to your partner a certain way, so that, again, it comes with communication, but to be connected a specific type of a way that you guys will understand and be on the same page to know what it takes or what's needed to please your partner or to support your partner, if that makes sense. But now, being in the beginning stages of before deciding if this is a person you're choosing to stay with, I do believe there's certain things that you can learn about each other right here. How willing is your partner to make sure that those things happen? How willing are they to feed into, to make sure that your cup is full? And showing up in the areas that I need you and when I need you, right? So if they're not able to do that now, don't expect that, unless that's not something that you want. Don't expect that later. It wouldn't be fair for somebody to show you how they operate now, and then later, after you make that decision, then you want to try and change that person, or you want to be upset that they are treating you exactly how they treated you before. That's something that you accepted. That's you told them that it's okay, because deciding that, yes, you're the person I want to be with, you're saying, I'm willing to accept what you're giving me right now. So I feel like that's something that should be communicated up front. I think, and as it changes, that's something that you also communicate, right? And then you make that decision as time goes on or as you grow together. But understanding what it takes to support your partner is very important. And like I said, the stage, as you go through each stage in your relationship, it may be different. We have to be mindful of that and not expect to. It's not a cookie cutter type of a thing where you learn it now, I'm good to go. No, some things, yes, may never change, but it fluctuates. I do believe that changes on both parts, not just for one person. Oh, you also want to pay attention is how willing is this person to understand you. And I think this is a part of effective communication, because a lot of the time I hear men say this all the time: happy wife, happy life. So they'll say, okay, you can't win an argument, or just let it go because you're never gonna win, right? I hear them say this all the time, but what that tells me is that now somebody has to suppress what they're truly feeling just so that they don't have to deal with the confrontation. And I feel like what that does is just suppresses what you truly feel, and later it may come back to bite your relationship. It slowly builds into resentment. It slowly builds into something that it didn't have to. So now, because you're not comfortable speaking to your partner, what you do is you talk to who you are comfortable talking to. Again, I talk about creating that space. So I feel like, yes, this is a part of effective communication, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you pay attention to how dedicated is your partner when it comes to understanding your point of view, understanding where you're coming from. And they don't always have to agree. You don't always have to agree, but being open to hear, listen to what you're saying, and to understand, I do believe helps to fix the problem, right? Helps to come to a mutual agreement, even if it's not what you expected, but it's also a time to learn each other, if that makes sense. I hope I made sense just now, but yeah. So I feel like just being open to your needs, to support you, to understand you, and how willing are they to do that. Make sure that you understand what it really means. What is commitment to you, right? Because just because you choose somebody to be your lifelong partner does not mean that you have the same, I guess, the same perspective on what commitment means. And I see that a lot, that people sometimes have different meaning of what commitment is. And because that was not discussed, or that was not clarified prior to making a decision to spend life together, I feel like that creates a disconnect as time goes by. Because one person, like, I'm committed to you, but I never told you that I'm not gonna continue to do this. And you automatically assume that if you say you're committed to me, obviously that's done, but that's just the way that you think. So I feel like, what does commitment mean to each of you? You want to make sure that you guys are on the same page with that. And sometimes things are going to come up that you may not necessarily agree on, but talking through those things and understand where the compromise comes in, if any. And but those decisions or those conversations are supposed to happen prior to you making a long-term decision. Okay, so I think those are the main things. There are probably some sub-points that fall under the categories that I mentioned on my points today. Feel free to drop them in the comments, share what you think. I'm definitely open to that. But I hope I touched the main points. Like I said, there's always gray areas in these things, but I absolutely believe that those are like some main points, super important pieces of the puzzle that, as before we get into these relationships or these long-term relationships, we want to make sure that our foundations are at least similar and we can actually build on together, right? We want to know that we both have at least similar ideas of what a healthy relationship looks like, and looks like for us, because everybody's situation is different. So I do believe that those are the things that, if we touch on those, have conversations about those, make sure that we're clear and have understanding of what that is, it can help us to make better and more beneficial decisions for the long term. I hope that you guys like this video. I am going to close this video out here. I really enjoyed talking about this today. If you like it, leave me a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Turn on your post notification for new video. Also, guys, do not forget to subscribe to my vlog channel. It's Lyrae Lifestyle Vlogs. It will be linked into the description below. Thank you guys so much for all your communication, your likes, your follow, your topic ideas. I really appreciate it though. But with that said, guys, I am going to love you guys and leave you. Happy Saturday to you guys. I hope I get to post it today. I've been off schedule. But I'm gonna love you and leave you guys. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and until next time, see you next episode. Love you all. Bye.